Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Blood on the Grand Strand, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition actual play. This is Epilogue 1, Destiny Redefined. Let's meet our vampires, starting with Josh.
Hello, I'm Josh, Gaming FTL / Strange Adventures, and I will be playing the part of Prince Dean Preston, Prince of Myrtle Beach.
And Kitsu?
Hello, I'm Kitsu, and I'll be playing Astrid. He's, I guess, naughty child.
Excellent way to put it. We begin this epilogue with you, Astrid. It's been a few nights since the Camarilla party, where the proclaimed prince, self-proclaimed, king of the Carolinas became a head shorter, where your sire was announced as prince, and where Sarah met her final death. You've spent a few nights away from Pirate's Voyage with Hunter, watching him heal the extraordinary amount of damage that he had taken. Almost got his head blown off by a shotgun. But now you're back at Pirate's Voyage. You're alone in Hunter's quarters, taking a few moments of solitude. Hunter is downstairs, getting things cleaned up from the party, and he asked you to join him when you were ready for that talk that he said you were going to have. And as you sit there, in the silence, just taking it all in, someone steps out from a shadow of the room. And it is Anita. And she says, "Hello, daughter."
I quickly pick myself up from where I've been sitting on the bed, and just like to not show her my back or anything, and like incline my head slowly. Hello.
I am saying my farewells to the Grand Strand, and I was at the new prince of Myrtle Beach, who I believe is your sire. I overheard him requesting a courier to summon you, so I thought I would take it upon myself to bring you to him. And to show you what it is that we serve. She turns her eyes black and inclines her head at you, waiting for you to do so as well.
I do that as well. I take a deep breath and lean into the darkness.
She takes your hand, pulls you into the shadow. When she does this, there's no sound. There's no floor beneath your feet, nothing to the sides. You feel as if you are floating. The only thing you can feel is her hand holding onto yours. All senses are extinguished in here. It is bitter cold. But you can see with your oblivion sight. And what you see can only be described as a maze, as a labyrinth. Peering down into it, you see throngs of shadow-eaten souls reaching up to attempt to touch the bottom of your feet. You can't hear them, but you know they are screaming. The walls pulse and breathe and drip with blood. The floor of the labyrinth is pools of acid. Pieces of sharp glass jut out and retract. And every manner of nightmare monster that you have ever thought of, dreamed of, or imagined, and more, crawls along its face, hungry. You do not know how long you float above it. Feels like hours. Feels like days. Anita is unflinching, unmoving. She merely drags you along this abyss. Until you find yourself coming closer to a light. Small at first. It gets brighter brighter, and you appear in a hallway. Never been in this place before. The walls are blue and white, well lit. And Anita turns off Oblivion sight and looks at you. That is the entity that we serve. That is merely one face of Oblivion. And all will fall to it in due time. When I leave, I will send daughters, your sisters, to help you reestablish the cult here and help you understand the mission.
I see.
Now, before I go, I will wait for you to have your meeting with Prince Dean Preston. But I want to remind you of something. You may think you need not listen to him just because he is older than you. The spirit of rebellion, the seed of it, is inside all of us. It is who we are. Do not forget that it was a woman who first disobeyed God. And Prince Dean Preston is no god. But Eve could not see the consequences of her actions. Keep that in mind. She raps on the door and disappears into the shadow behind it.
I quickly take out my phone and I text Hunter that I've gone to see Dean. And I turn on my GPS.
Unfortunately,
so it knows where I am.
It seems that your travel through the shadow has left your phone broken.
What? Oh.
Someone opens the door. It's an older man. You saw him at the party. He looks extraordinarily similar to your sire, just decades older. He smiles, a large wrinkled grin, steps out of the doorway, opens the door, and holds his hand for you to enter. I believe you are muted.
Thank you.
And he closes it behind you. And there you see, in a large plush armchair behind an opulent, huge desk, is your sire, the new prince of Myrtle Beach. He's leaned back, reading a book, his legs propped up on the desk.
Good evening, my dear.
Good evening, my prince.
So you do know. I seem to remember telling you on the phone that you should only appear to me when you've done your duty.
Indeed. Yet I have been summoned.
Things change. Tell me, how are you enjoying the gifts that I gave you?
Thank you for them. Is that I'm not entirely sure what you would like to hear, but I have come to understand that our kind of kin, I suppose, is supposed to, almost expect certain, how to put it, certain specific tasks and certain troubles. So suppose I should be thanking you.
You're welcome. Do you consider yourself lucky to be alive still?
On certain
There
aspects,
are many
yeah.
troubles. Good. I would hate for you to disappear somewhere. I need your assistance.
I see. What did you have in mind?
The grander plan hasn't changed. If you want my favor and the assistance of a prince, then a daughter of oblivion is still required for my needs. But more importantly than that, things have gotten a bit tense, wouldn't you say?
A little bit, yeah.
How would you feel about attempting to cool them down?
Well, again, what did you have in mind?
I need a liaison with the Anarchs. I need someone who can convince them that war with the Camarilla is an awful idea. The amount of people that it would destroy, the amount of lives it would end, interrupt. I'm sure there are many people that would enjoy being joined in war, but it would be inconvenient for us both. Coexistence, for the meanwhile, is more beneficial, wouldn't you say?
Her existence?
Coexistence.
Oh, coexistence. Apologies. Yes. It does sound like a more peaceful option. Speaking of coexistence, though, I do need to ask you. I have been at the party at the Pirate's Voyage, and I believe some people who are Tremere as well, some kindred who are Tremere as well, had some odd things to say about, well, your circumstances. And the elder seemed to be very keen on taking me away. So I'm not sure how equipped I am to resist something of the sort as I go out and still do the stuff that I am sent to do.
I'm sure the Magus at the Chantry have all sorts of plans for you. However, I'm a prince. They won't defy me. I will not allow them to take my precious child away from her duties. You can rest assured that I will protect you from them.
Well, thank you. There's also the matter of me actually being a daughter of oblivion, apparently.
Grayson
Miss
took my
Anita.
instruction a little too literally, I feel. I apologize.
I am not terribly concerned about Grayson. I am more concerned about Miss Anita. If I give you a daughter of oblivion, that isn't me, I suppose, because I'm here, aren't I? I do not know how happy she'll be about it. Depends, I suppose, on what your plans are with her.
Prince Dean Preston, You were not aware Anita had anything to do with the Daughters of Oblivion. Just for clarification.
Okay. He's not going to try and let that slip, though. Yes, of course. She is... Is she an Archon or a Justicar? Of course. A warlord isn't someone we want to get on the wrong side of. I need her support as much as anyone else's. The Daughters of Oblivion can't be fully accounted for by her, surely. I trust that you will find your way to make sure that I get what I want, and she won't be any the wiser. It's a difficult task, but I'm sure I can leave it to you.
Well, I can certainly try. However, I do feel her, and she does feel me. And so, whatever task you might require might have to be interwoven, or it might not be as quickly brought to fruition, I suppose, because she does seem to have quite a lot of tasks for me as well.
Does she now? I suggest that you don't anger or displease a warlord. Learn as much as you can, Astrid. And when the time comes, use what you have learned to our advantage. Seize the opportunity and take what you need for yourself.
That sounds fair. I'd come to that sort of conclusion myself, I suppose. Might I ask a question?
Please.
How many more trials would you have me do? And what is their goal? Ultimate goal, I suppose, should I overcome them?
Being a Daughter of Oblivion, I'm sure you've experienced the bonuses that come with that lineage. That, I'm sure, is just a taste. There's one night on Halloween where I had a beautiful window into that world. And I'm sure you can agree with me, the Tremere themselves, small-minded, and have no picture of the grandiose history that we can have access to, given that power and the power that we already possess. That to control blood, people, reality, destiny. So, if you want in on that, then I'm sure I could share some of it when we achieve what we need.
I've got to... It does sound quite grand. However, I do need to warn you. I've seen a little bit beyond the veil. of the entity that the daughters serve. And at the end of the day, everything is, or night, I suppose, everything is supposed to succumb to that. So I suppose it's a bit of the higher you fly, the bigger the fall.
Then let's not make our wings out of wax, shall we?
Maybe it would be also good to not set each other on fire while we're at it.
If they refuse my demands, then we may have to set them all on fire. Build a new clan of Tremere. They demand that you come back with them and learn their blood sorcery, and you don't want that, do you? It's one or the other, I'm afraid. Tell me, this entity, is it a god?
I couldn't tell. I've only had a glimpse. It was a place where time doesn't pass, or passes in a intricate, woven way. There was no light, but I could see. There were souls in agony, screaming out that I couldn't hear. Anita held my hand and put me through it, through a labyrinth darker than anything I have ever seen it or felt, worse than the haunted house. And then I came out on the other side.
Do you know what I saw in a haunted house?
Tell me. Please.
Aside from a very grand future, I saw my past and the mistakes that I'd made. The people that might end up in that labyrinth. My family. I saved them from that fate. And I'm sure, given time, you will be put in the same position. The Tremere have a long history of learning of things and learning to control them. Let's use that history. Is there anyone you love?
I would prefer nothing happens to the people that have kept me safe through this last ordeal.
Your coterie.
Yes.
I'm afraid given the things that we need to achieve, they may have to be sacrificed.
May have to, so it is not a given.
Unless you can think of an alternative. They may end up in that labyrinth. Give me a reason, Astrid, why they should not be subject to a blood hunt.
They saved me. Isn't that enough? You seem to wish to keep me by your side. Feels as though that's a pretty big thing to do.
Should they live, will they keep you from my side?
I'm the only one that decides. So I believe it is up to you.
Food for thought. Go. Manifest your destiny. Save those you love from the entity beyond that seems to be so dear to Anita.
Do you obey Astrid? Do you leave his presence?
Yeah.
As you head towards
I incline my head and I walk away.
As you head through the door, once again, that very elderly gentleman opens it for you, and Anita is still there in the hallway. And now that you're looking at the hallway from this side, you see a very large sign that you didn't notice when you first entered. It's called Magic Quest. Must be the name of the building. And as this elderly gentleman re-enters the room with your sire and closes the door, Anita holds her hand out again and drags you into the shadow to return you to Pirate's Voyage before she leaves the Grand Strand. And that is where we will end this epilogue. Thank you, everyone, for watching.